Prime Minister Narendra Modi chaired the 13th annual summit of BRICS leaders via the video conferencing yesterday. And in this video, we shall be covering the key highlights of the 13th BRICS summit chaired by India. The theme of the summit is BRICS at 15, Intra-BRICS Cooperation for Continuity, Consolidation and Consensus. BRICS is an acronym for Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa. India talked about 4 C's of the BRICS partnership, and we also adopted the Counter-Terrorism Action Plan. And if we look at the speeches of the other leaders, the most interesting speeches was of the Russian President Vladimir Putin, who used the occasion in a sense to talk about Afghanistan. In fact, he was the only leader to specifically mention about Afghanistan and also talk about how the developments in Afghanistan can be source of instability and how Afghanistan can become a source of drug when it comes to terrorism as well. And if we talk about how the entire crisis in a sense happened because of the hasty withdrawal of Americans and its allies, the fact that the Russian president was used the BRICS platform to talk about US failure is an interesting point. Now if we talk about the South African side, what that has to speak, they specifically mentioned about the reforms which are needed at the United Nations Security Council, specifically mentioning about the African seat at UNSC. If you remember earlier this year, the BRICS foreign ministers had virtually met and there was a specific mention of reforms which need to be made at UNSC. This statement is important and interesting because 2 P5 members, Russia and China, endorsed this statement, and that too in Indian presidency. Now let's talk about the speech of Brazilian leadership. He basically talked about how we need to cooperate more. The Chinese President Xi Jinping also focused on the multilateralism as the way forward. But if we largely see, the BRICS had emerged after the 2008 economic crisis, has now become an important feature of the global geopolitical calendar. And next year, Chinese will be hosting this summit. For 2 years in a row now, we know the summit is happening in a virtual format. But if Chinese decide to do it in the person meeting, the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is expected to travel to China, and that will be an important development to look forward to. And primarily in the backdrop of the crisis, whether it is Doklam crisis of 2017 or whether it is the Galwan crisis of last year, we will now come face to face with the Chinese presidentship. Be it in the BRICS meeting or be it in the G20. So whether it is the BRICS, whether it is G20 or SCO, have in sense replaced the UN system essentially when it comes to taking practical decisions, primarily because the UN system is seen as a failure when it comes to a current crisis, whether it is in Afghanistan or in the COVID-19 pandemic. So this was it about BRICS Summit. Please like, share and subscribe Disha publication. Thank you and have a nice day.